All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 539 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And today, we're going to talk some Georgia Southern. Yeah, we haven't talked about Georgia Southern in a while. And this is something that's been on my mind ever since all the transfers was finalized. And we know what the offense kind of know what they're going to look like. I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on the passing game because I want to know if this passing game can be better than last season. Because last season, it wasn't the best, but it was damn sure fun to watch. I enjoyed every bit of Kyle Van Treese throwing the ball and throwing for touchdowns, some of the acrobatic catches, some of the wide open receivers. It just felt good to watch a totally different situation as far as the way the offense ran for Georgia Southern. And from what I hear, it's going to get better. And we're going to talk about this quarterback that's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble. And we're really going to get into this. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And I want to thank you guys for the support. You know, you guys have been really, showing up on this bounce back week of the show since I've been out. So far, the Monday and Tuesday shows have been doing very well. Some of the other videos been doing pretty good, the shorts, and hopefully we can just continue to keep this rolling. So I appreciate you guys. I really, really do. All right. Let's go ahead and get into this. Davis Brin, the Tulsa, now Georgia Southern quarterback, is going to be more likely at the helm of the Georgia Southern football team. You know, he's going to be QB1 from all of the things I'm hearing. And looking at what he's capable of doing from the standpoint of what he did at Tulsa, and he's going to go into more of a pass-happy offense like you saw what Kyle Van Treese did. And there's been rumblings that this guy is going to, do the same, if not slightly better than Van Treese. So that's going to be really interesting to see what what the makeup and what the offense is going to look like. Is it going to be more dynamic? Is it going to be more consistency? Is it going to be more explosive? Now, I don't know as of right now. I have to see how things look in the spring game because I don't think a lot of people really talked about it. The spring game pretty much gave us a very good idea of what the season turned out to be. I mean, the passing was prolific. The passing looked very well. Even some of the run game was nice, and the defense, for all intents and purposes, struggled. And it carried over into the regular season. If you go back and look at anything from that game, of the spring game, and you turn right back around and look at some of the games throughout the regular season, even even in the bowl game, it kind of was the same way. So now I'm looking at this like, all right, what is the Georgia Southern Eagles are going to do? Well, I want to take you another trip down memory lane real quick. Kyle Van Treese, I'm looking at the stats here. In one season, pretty much took out a lot of records for passing yards for Georgia Southern. Now, all intents and purposes, Georgia Southern is a run-first team. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We all know that. But with that being said, Kyle Van Treese threw for over 4,200 yards. That was clearly a single-season record. You also have to understand that Tracy Ham was the career. He is the career leading passer in yards with 57. So you got to understand, like in 4 years, he had 57. Kyle Van Treese threw for 4,253 in 1 year. So that's a single season record. He also got over 300 yards. He's top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times as far as throwing for over 300 yards. He's top 10 in passing as far as the single game records. So threw for 578 against James Madison, which is insane. Threw for 409 against Nebraska. I mean, you look at some of these numbers, 389 against App State. And it's just crazy. So when you look at what we're capable of doing, Duke Davis Brin come in and shatter those records? Does he be just as consistent? Are there going to be situations where he's more explosive to the point where he throw for more yards, but he doesn't, necessarily, have all the touchdowns. Or do we have more touchdowns but don't have all the yards? Because Calvin Tree threw for 27 touchdowns last season, which is also a single season record. But then you turn right back around and you know you know what I'm saying, you turn right back around and you have to bring another quarterback in that's probably going to have better weapons than last season. You look at the some of the transfers that's coming in, and I'm very big on a couple of those receivers. Then you bring in a tight end from Kentucky who that looks like he's going to be a wall going down the seam. Then you still have the guys that are coming back like a Derwin Burgess. You got Sam Kennerson, Dalen Cobb is coming back, Jet Thompson. I mean, Marcus Sanders. We have some guys. We have some guys that could catch the ball, and we're going to be a problem for a lot of guys in the Sun Belt. I mean, we was already a problem last season, and we just fell short on a lot of games because I think for the most part the defense was not able to do what we thought they could do. Like I said, if you go back and look at the game where with the spring scrimmage, it was pretty much exactly what happened throughout the season. A lot of guys couldn't really tackle or whatever case may be. Hopefully that changes with some of the guys we're bringing in. But with that being said, we should be able to put. I mean, we already put the Sun Belt on notice. They know what Georgia Southern is doing now. They know exactly what's happening with Georgia Southern. There's no secret to say like, all right, Georgia Southern is about to be, putting a lot of guys, in the blender when it comes to this passing game. I mean, we made it a problem for a lot of teams last year. What I'm saying? You gotta understand, we threw for 375. We threw for 367, I'm sorry, against Morgan State. Turned right back around and threw for 409 against Nebraska. Georgia State, we threw for 360, which is a game that, without the turnovers, we easily win that game. 5 turnovers, and we only lost by 8. I mean, Georgia State, I want to say this real quick. Georgia State has a lot to brag about because we lost that game. But you're not going to tell me that, that's good football on either end. We turned the ball over 5 times. Georgia State should have blew us out by 40. Easily. They should have blew us out by 40. I don't care how good or the gap of talent is there. You can't turn the ball over that many times. So for us to only lose by 8 after pretty much turning the ball over 5 times, I mean, that just tells you more about Georgia State than about Georgia Southern. But I mean, that's another story for another day. I mean, I just don't like those guys. I just don't. I mean, I'm living in the Atlanta area now, and I see that stadium. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's terrible. But I'm going off on a tangent, so let's keep going. In the Camellia Bowl, he threw for 352. You know what I'm saying? 325 against Louisiana, and all of that was a crazy game as well. James Madison, I mean, 389 against Appalachian State, 578 against James Madison. App State, 389. I mean, will Davis bring top any of that? I'm not sure. That's a lot of passing to do, but he has the tools. He has the weapons to do so. To be honest, I want us to limit the turnovers. That's one thing that Kyle Vantrease we had an issue with. I mean, that's what goes along with the territory. When you're throwing the ball a lot, you're going to have situations to where you're going to have situations where you're going to basically turn the ball over when you're throwing the ball a lot. So I mean, I think he had 15 interceptions or something like that. It was really weird. What kind of team, or not as a team, but what kind of games that we had sometimes. I mean, it seemed like we were looking really good, and then you turn around and throw for some interceptions every now and then. I'm not saying some of them was like necessarily game breaking, but never is a good time to throw an interception. You know what I mean? So it's when you're looking at the situation with the whole passing game, can it get better? There's no doubt in my mind that it will be. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're just going to continue to get better with what we have. Now, what I will also say is, we need to balance that with a running game. And if we balance it with the running game, which we know Georgia Southern known for running the ball, I think we'll be absolutely dominant. I mean, I know the Wisconsin game. To me, I think Wisconsin and the Marshall game are the two games I'm concerned about. Mostly the Marshall game for some reason. I know Wisconsin's going to be pretty good, but I think we're going. I think we go toe to toe with them. I think it's going to be an early game. They're probably going to give us. We're probably going to catch hell, but I just think that we're going to be all right with, that team. That's just my gut feeling. I think we're going to be okay, but for some reason Marshall is a different animal for some reason. I don't know. Last but not least, before I get out of here, the offensive line. We did lose our offensive lineman coach. He went to once he went to Louisville. He did a phenomenal job last year getting these guys ready. Hopefully, the person we have now will come in and just take the reins and continue where we left off. Because we only gave up like three. I can't remember, like 3 or 4 sacks last year. It was something. It was very. I know it was no more than 6. Phenomenal job. You keep the quarterback upright, good things are going to happen. And if we can continue to do that and not have the turnovers, not that many interceptions, I think we're going to be good. So I think this is going to be a phenomenal season. I can't wait to see what happens when we play against these opponents. I think we played the Citadel, and we also play with Wisconsin. Then we have a couple of other teams that are necessarily not rivals, but necessarily on our schedule. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know those two teams that are out of conference, and we should. Oh, I think we play UAB again. I think we play UAB. Yeah, we play UAB. I think they're coming to Paulson, so that's going to be an interesting one as well. So, nevertheless, we're just going to put the Sun Belt on notice once again. We are reloading. We are getting better, in my opinion. There's no disrespect to the 2022 team. I think those guys did a very good job. Shout out to Coach Clay Helton and his staff for turning this around from one side of the spectrum with the running game to the passing side of the spectrum and actually being successful with it. So this is year 2. Usually year 2, year 3, you get to see that jump. And we already saw somewhat of a jump with the first year. Man, let's see what we're going to do this next year. So this is going to be pretty interesting. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. Can this passing game get better? I mean, I think they can. I think they're going to be, pretty good. I think they're going to be able to command and actually, dictate what goes on the field. Especially if you have a guy like a Davis Brennan. I didn't even go into stats. His stats are actually pretty solid for 2022. And I don't want to get into them now because we're at the end of the show, but we will revisit Davis Brennan. We will talk about J.C. French. We will be talking about Bo Allen. We will be talking about some of these other quarterbacks because even though Davis Brennan is there, we have a handful of other guys. And shout out to Colton Fitzgerald. I know, I think he can be a pretty good quarterback when needed as well. It's going to be a lot of competition. And, the only sad thing about it is a lot of these guys look like they can play. There's only one football to throw around. So it's going to be interesting. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble, also Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. I'm going to get out of here. I still have some more maintenance to do in here. Get some things on the wall so the echo won't be so bad. And hopefully the quality will get better in due time. I think I'm going to get another camera as well. If you're watching on YouTube and Rumble, you see what I mean when I say get another camera because one of these cameras look good, another one don't look that well, but we'll get there. All right, y'all, I'm getting out of here. See you guys on the next one. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Y'all be blessed. Peace.